car crash cases, defective products, dangerous drugs, injuries, and abuse. Across the state of Alabama, the attorneys, proudly sponsored by the law firm of Hollis Wright, are here to serve you. Your tough legal questions answered by our experts. The attorneys, with Josh Wright from the law firm of Hollis Wright and host David Lamb.
Merry Christmas and good evening. Welcome in to the attorneys. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Got a special half-hour plan. The way this works each and every Sunday night is that all throughout the program ways you to join our conversation. You'll see that information there on your screen. Tonight's show is a little bit different since in the spirit of the holiday season. Something that is not different is who is leading our conversation. He's managing partner of the firm Hollis Wright, Josh Wright. Merry Christmas, sir.
Merry Christmas
to you and your family.
You and yours too.
It is that time of year again, kind of an opportunity for us to reflect on what really has been a good year here on the show for the firm.
Oh, no question. You know, my favorite holiday is Christmas. Always has been. Just kind of the whole season from Thanksgiving through to New Year's is a fun time of the year for me, for my family. And it's a great opportunity for people to be not just by themselves, but with their family and surrounded by loved ones. And so when you do that, you get nostalgic a little bit and you think back to all the things you're thankful for. And one of the things I'm thankful for is the ability that I've been able to do this show with you for 6 years.
Oh, thank you.
And you know, I tell you what, it's a great responsibility, and it's a really cool opportunity for our law firm to give back and to sit in people's living room every single Sunday to know consistently if they've got a legal related issue and they're intimidated to go call a lawyer, they can call us every Sunday, they can text us, they can email us, that we do respond, that we do care, that we do want to give back to the community. And that's the beauty of the show, and it's one of the things I'm thankful for during this great holiday season is to be able to talk about that.
You know, one of the things that you and I, we kind of joke about this, but I know you and I really do enjoy this whenever we're out somewhere. We joke that oftentimes, anytime we fly anywhere, we meet folks who ask about the show and talk about the show. But really, one of the things that we are thankful for is the relationships we built through viewers, but also with fellow attorneys, some who you haven't met until they're here on the show. It's kind of a neat community we've got.
You know, David, when we started this show many years ago, it was on the heels of the April storm that ripped through Tuscaloosa, and there were a lot of people in need of legal advice. They did not know how to deal with insurance companies. They did not know if they could accept initial checks from those insurance companies when their house was destroyed and if they were going to release any claims. And we didn't start the show and we didn't do that special with the hopes we were going to have some case that amounted out of it. It was really a give back to the community, a pro bono service, if you will, to provide free legal advice on, hey, here are the things you need to be careful of. Watch for storm chasers, watch this, watch that. And the show is slowly but surely morphed into so much more than just that. And one of the things I'm most proud of is I talk about it having, the show kind of has 3 silos. Silo 1 is it gives our law firm the ability to get in the living room of people each week for you to recognize those that watch the show and those that see us on Sunday nights, for you to recognize that we're here to answer free legal questions if you got them. And we're also here during the week if you ever need our help. Number 2 is we build a tremendous amount of relationships out of the lawyers that we bring onto this show. Think about all the people that we have come in contact with in the last 6 years that we did not have relationships with those lawyers that now we do, so that when someone calls on a Sunday night and says, I have a issue related to a defective drug, I know who I can send them to and who I can get them to that I know and trust is going to do a good job. And the third component, candidly, is I just like doing the show. I like giving back to people. This is a great opportunity for me and you to be able to have a cool dialogue and to address topics sometimes maybe not always popular, whether it's criminal law or concussion-related issues during football season, or if we're related, you know, we're talking about topics that are divorce and maybe a little more not accepted in the legal world as a personal injury case would be. But it gives us an opportunity to give back, and I'm building a relationship with people whose living room I'm in on a weekly basis. We're always here.
One of the things this past year, especially, social media and its presence has grown. You all have an incredible social media community, specifically Facebook. Your Facebook community this year has just grown incredibly. One of the things I love is the feedback there. That is a great way, and maybe now, even while the show is on, if you have a comment, you can do it on there. But one of the things that I like about the show is we have covered the gamut. Yep. I mean, if you think of the different topics we have addressed, like you've said, it's from domestic issues, divorce, bankruptcy. I mean, just the gamut.
Sexual assault. I mean, you name it. Rape. We have addressed it all, and the beauty of that is we don't shy away from topics that you see in the media that are relevant and pertinent. We will go and we will take those topics head on and bring the legal component to it and the legal spin to it.
All right, so to you, I'm curious as to why do you do that? Because you could actually do just shows that are right in the wheelhouse of this firm. Yeah. Why do you go outside of that? What's the motivation there?
Well, I think it's a couple-fold. One is this is nothing more than a direct solicitation if all we're doing is car and trucking and wrongful death related cases, which is the wheelhouse of what we do as a law firm.
Right.
So it just becomes a direct solicitation at that point and an advertisement for our show. That's not what this show was ever about. It didn't start that way with the storm help, and it becomes less about pro bono at that stage, and it becomes a lot more at that stage about trying to get people to bring business to our law firm. The folks that watch the show should know that our topics do run the gamut. They address relevant and material things that are important. We did a show I can remember throughout the year that related to sexual assault during some of the campaign issues that were going on. We did a rape-related show at one point in the last couple of years during a very prominent rape trial that was ongoing. And those may not be popular shows, but if you're someone in the viewing audience that's seeing that, you may have always wondered, what's the legal spin on that? Why do, for example, we defend criminal defendants? Why does the system allow and protect for that? And we explain why. We explain why we're able to do that. So, the other component to this is it's not about just our law firm. It's about building relationships with other folks, but covering topics that are material and relevant to society and the things that are changing at all times.
And if you have an idea of a show you would like us, a topic you'd like to discuss, there are plenty of ways you can head to the law firm website. Find it there, head to the Facebook page and comment. But if you let us know, if you have an idea, we would really love to hear it.
Sure.
One final thing before we head to break, because I think this is just kind of neat. Do you feel better about the legal community? Because one of the things that we've done, especially this year, seems to be more of a focus on kind of reaching out beyond just the city of Birmingham. And we've had attorneys from Centerville and Gadsden and Tuscaloosa, Coleman, Jasper, kind of around. You're a husband, you're a father, you've got 3 kids, and these folks are really the ground roots of their community. Yeah. Does it make you feel better and more confident about the legal community and the type of legal representation people are getting throughout the area and throughout the state?
Well, one of our focuses for 2017, David, was to broaden the breadth, if you will, and the throw of NBC's show of their station, because they throw to a lot more than just Jefferson County, where we happen to practice a lot of our law. So we went out in the community, and we went to the Centervilles, and we went to the eastern side of Shelby counties, and we found representatives, as you said, and I agree, that are tied in those communities, that are well respected in that area, and we built relationships with those people because we want to be able to help those communities no different than we're helping just our community locally in the city of Birmingham and in the surrounding over the mountain communities, etc. And so, that was really a focus of ours this year, and I think we've done a good job. We brought a lot of guests that are outside the general, if you will, Birmingham demographic, that are tied into other communities, and hopefully the viewing audience has seen that, hey, that guy's from my local community.
Right.
He's got a shingle right down the street from me. He's on that television show. Hopefully that plays a role in helping people go to that lawyer, because that lawyer that we brought on the show is a good lawyer, does good work, and wants to give back to the community.
And I kind of like that we're shining the light on somebody that's been grinding it out, really a public servant for a number of years. We've got to step aside and take our break. When we come back, Tyler Vail is going to be joining us as well. So the show, kind of the Christmas show, the Christmas special, if you will, of the attorneys. This edition, stay tuned. More of that coming your way next.
I'm Josh Wright with the law firm of Hollis Wright, a personal injury law firm. Thank you for watching The Attorneys. Now, we hope you, a friend, or a loved one never needs legal counsel for a case. But if you do, the goal of the show is simple: provide answers and legal counsel when you need it the most. Your call to the show is free, so if you have questions specific to the show or related to other accident or injury-related topics, you can call, email, or text us. Or you can also follow us on Facebook or Twitter, or simply contact us by going to hollis-wright.com and click on the Contact Us link. We know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us watching The Attorneys.
Welcome into this special Christmas Eve edition of The Attorneys. Thank you so much for being with us. A reminder, hey, throughout any of the programs, if you wish to get in touch with the firm, there are ways to do that. That information you see right there on your screen. Josh, we're growing.
We are growing. We've got Tyler, my partner, longtime partner, is here. Of course, we also see some of my other partners on the show and some of our associates. And our firm, you know, even over the last year and the last several years, has just grown slowly but surely. And
how long has he now been?
It's been a while.
It's a good question. 5, 6 years.
I was going to say
7
6 or 7. Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a while. You know, it's a great. I tell people ask all the time, you know, how do you get along with your partners? And you know, I've heard partnerships sometimes are a disaster. I'll be honest with you. We have so much in common, from a love to coach outside of practicing law, do common things in the practice of law, have children the same age. Yeah. We travel together. Our wives like each other. I mean, it's
Is it true that you guys vacation together?
That's
this summer y'all went on a vacation together.
We like each other.
Like
it's amazing.
family. It's not just me and Josh. I mean, we might have to do that for work sometimes, but no.
Right.
Kids get along, everybody. It was a fantastic time. Yeah,
well,
it's true, man. We were so blessed and so fortunate. You know, it took us, we've been doing this 17, 18, almost 20 years practicing law, but you know, it took us a few years to finally come together. We've known each other for a long time, but when the opportunity presented itself, it was, you know, it was automatic.
Is there, what is, and maybe I would like for both of you guys to answer this, but what is, Tyler, what is your specific area of the law? What is your wheelhouse when it comes to the law?
You know, well, what it's become, you know, it's kind of evolved over the last, 10, 15 years. But right now it's pharmaceutical, medical device law, any type of product failure, injury from medications, things of that nature. So my practice is about 95% federal court, and about 80% of it is out of state. You know, a lot of these things get consolidated in federal courts across the country. So you know, I'm practicing more in other states than I'm practicing in Alabama for those type cases. You know, where Josh, you know, and Carter and some of their lawyers in their hand, it's probably just the opposite. They're mainly focused in Alabama on personal injury work, and probably in state court more than federal court. So, you know, we kind of cover everything, you know, at our law firm, and we're able to handle cases truly anywhere.
I kind of look at our firm as we're really a pretty diverse as far as the work we do. We have a diverse practice because we have a certain amount of lawyers that do all single event based cases, and we're talking about wrongful death and personal injury, those types of cases. And then we have an entire department which Carter runs with one of our other lawyers who's been on many times, Vail. They run an entire department of, and they can't just do it on their own. They've got a group of individuals that runs this mass torts department, and they travel nationally to all these seminars related to mass torts, and they're highly involved in the national politics associated with mass torts and are involved in a lot of the settlements and kind of what drives those cases nationally, because lawyers are what drive those cases. And so we're pretty diverse. We really make up, we got a lot of single event, we've got mass torts, and then we do things like this. I look at this, to me, as in the wheelhouse of what we do, right? I mean, we talk a lot about marketing as a law firm and how do we get our name out there so that the person that is involved in this event in their life wants to go hire Hollis Wright. What separates us from all the other great firms out there, right? And the days of being able to say, you know, we do personal injury work, come to us, those days are over. You've got to differentiate yourself. And I think there are a lot of different ways that we differentiate ourselves. One of the ways we do, and the reason we've kept the show going as long as we have, and hopefully we'll continue, we just renewed through 2018, is we have this television show. And, you know, I'll ask you, Tyler, a question that I answered before you were here in the first segment, and that's this. Why is it you think that our firm does all these shows that run the gamut of issues that are unrelated to the personal injury work and the drug work that we do? Why do we do all those other shows? And I answered it kind of the way I feel, but you tell me.
You know, it's simply a public service. It really is. I'm not sure what Josh said, but you know, when we came together, we could focus this show simply on what we do and just try to drive business in, week out. But we decided that's not really going to help a lot of people in the community. We really want to be the lawyers that people turn to with questions, whether it's, you know, dealing with Social Security issues. You know, even though we don't personally handle it as a firm, we're more than happy to help people with those issues. You know, or we have folks on here that handle divorces. You know, so we're just kind of let people know. Look, lawyers are very approachable. When you have problems, don't be scared to call a lawyer. Don't try to do it on your own. You know, we're all, you know, we all have families. We all live in this community. We're all trying to make our communities better. And you know, so we bring people on the show that may cover topics that may not necessarily be things we personally handle, but we want the public to know, hey, these folks are out there, call them if you have questions. And we're just kind of not necessarily the gatekeeper. We want to be the folks to lead to other people, you know? I mean, so if you have a question, call our firm, we'll put you in touch, you know, with other folks. So we truly do it as a public service, and, you know, it's really just you know, I think it's in all our hearts just to truly help people. And that's kind of why we do what we do, you know? We're not representing big businesses, banks or anything like that, trying to figure out how these companies can make more money. We're truly representing the people on the lowest level of the legal scale, you know, that individuals from, you know, maybe Opelika, Alabama, who have to now go take on a huge corporation that's in like Delaware or New York. You know, how do we do that? How can they possibly do that? Well, you know, we can help them do that, and I think we all just get such joy and satisfaction out of that.
You know, I know we're getting ready to go to break. Our marketing director, internal to our firm, Melissa, does an outstanding job, and you know, she often asks us in these marketing meetings, you know, what do you want to be known for? What? She's not talking about like the image of us personally. She's talking about the law firm. What does the law firm want to be known as? And the way I kind of have explained that to her is, I want to be known as a group of lawyers that return calls, that are trustworthy. We tell you something, that is what's going to happen. That are not braggadocious about our firm and say we're better than everybody else. And ultimately, a firm that they can look at and say, you know what, I may not have gotten a perfect result, but they explained to me on the front end I probably wasn't going to get a perfect result, but I'm very content with where this thing ended up because these lawyers were honest, they returned my phone calls, they did the things that they needed to do to work my case, and at the end of the day, I'm proud that I was represented by them. And that is what we're trying to do, and this show is a big component to that too.
Good. You bring up Melissa's name, in addition to the attorneys that you often, I think every attorney's been on the show at some point, but you do have an incredible staff, really a whole team
almost 20
fantastic.
Deep, almost 20 deep, and it's crazy that the firm started back in 2001, and we started with 3 employees, and you know, we're over 20 employees now total with our lawyers, and just really enjoying it, having fun doing it.
All right, we're going to take our break. Whenever we come back, kind of talk about some issues maybe some folks run into this time of year. Some warnings and some things you need to keep in mind to make sure this is a safe and fantastic holiday season. Stay tuned, more of The Attorneys coming right up.
I'm Josh Wright with the law firm of Hollis Wright. Now, serving on a jury can be confusing because there's some information that the attorneys in the case aren't allowed to tell you. And in wrongful death cases, it might surprise you. In tonight's Legal 4-in-1, we're answering the question, what evidence is allowed in a wrongful death case? That's a case where one person's conduct caused the death of another. A wrongful death case is a civil cause of action for someone's death where money damages may be awarded, not jail time. In these cases, a lawyer can only talk about punishing and deterring the defendant for causing the death. That leaves out a lot of information about the person who died, including how that person's death has affected his family and his community. The reason lawyers only talk about punishing and deterring the defendant in these cases is this. In a death case, at the end of the trial, the judge will read a jury charge which says the following. The damages in this case are punitive and not compensatory. Punitive damages are awarded to preserve human life, to punish the defendant for its wrongful conduct, and to deter or discourage the defendant and others from doing the same or similar wrongs in the future. This means that in Alabama, lawyers cannot talk about how great the loss was to a person's family or friends for that death. They can't talk about lost wages or the financial impact on that person's family. Lawyers can't mention how much that person loved his wife, kids or grandkids, or what it would have meant to walk a daughter down the aisle, for example, in her wedding. In short, lawyers cannot talk about all the things that a person who died at the hands of another missed out on in his own life. In Alabama, the legislature has said you can't put a value of someone's life, so as lawyers, what we can do, the only thing we can do, is ask that the defendant is deterred and punished for the wrongful conduct that caused the death in the first place. We can ask that the jury send a message, a loud message, to prevent such types of death in the future. For example, if a truck driver caused a crash where someone died, the jury can send a message by making the truck driver pay money damages. The hope is that other drivers will be discouraged from the dangerous conduct that caused the death. As attorneys, we often wish we could submit more evidence to the court about the person who died, but unfortunately, we can't. If you are ever a juror on such a case, please keep in mind what I've told you today about wrongful death cases. Remember, your call, email, or text to the attorneys is free. All of us at Hollis Wright want to help answer your questions on real issues you face. A competent lawyer will respond to every question you send in. That's our pledge and promise to you.
Welcome back into this special edition of The Attorneys. Appreciate you being with us on this Christmas Eve, joined by Josh Rice, two of the partners of the firm Hollis Wright, Josh Wright and Tyler Vail. Whenever we went to break, talking about some of the issues that you do see kind of this time of year. Don't want to kind of leave without talking about some things people need to keep in mind as really between where we are now and kind of the end of the year. Some tips to help them stay safe?
Yeah, so, one of the things that really is in the sweet spot of kind of my wheelhouse of what I handle a lot of, and that is what's called dram shop litigation, but that's just a fancy legal term. What it really involves is alcohol-related injuries, where alcohol has played a role in an injury, whether it be on a college campus or whether it be leaving a bar or restaurant in the city of Birmingham, or at some event or a concert in Huntsville, Alabama, wherever it may be. Alcohol seems to oftentimes result in significant and catastrophic related injuries, and that is unfortunate. I do a lot of that litigation in Alabama, and I handle a lot of those cases on a weekly and monthly basis. The holiday season, for one reason or another, whether it's from Thanksgiving to Christmas or Christmas to New Year's and on New Year's itself, we unfortunately see a lot of those accidents and a lot of those injuries. And what I'd recommend to people, I want to talk less about the litigation side. If you're injured in one of those cases, because somebody was intoxicated and injured you or your family, you can always come to us. And what I would tell people is you don't have to come to us. There are a lot of great law firms out there, but you need to get to a lawyer early. What I want to talk more about is just in general the concept that people need to be careful. There's so many options now to not drink and drive. And alcohol-related injuries don't just relate to driving. Sometimes it's in the workplace, or sometimes it's in a bar or a fight or a weapons used. But a lot of times it relates to operating a vehicle while someone's intoxicated. The laws have gotten so much stricter, and there's so many options out there right now, whether it's Lyft, whether it is Uber or any of those options, having a dedicated sober driver. We strongly recommend, even though it's not great for our business long term, people need to do that. It's just, you can solve so many problems by not drinking and driving, especially during the holiday season. So hopefully we'll limit a little bit of that throughout this holiday season by just being able to talk about it.
Tyler, one of the things, areas that you deal with, as we've discussed, is mass torts. Have about 3 minutes remaining, but want to get a couple of things. Is kind of what are the trends that you're seeing this past year and right now as it relates to mass torts?
Kind of where it's going, man. It's been a very busy year. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's been an extremely busy year for mass torts. You know, right now some of the hot topics involve hernia mesh. You know, if you're one of the millions of Americans that have had hernia surgery, there's a good chance they use a type of mesh, inside when they're repairing you. And so those things are failing just at an unbelievable rate. You know, a couple of brands have been recalled. Other brands are kind of on the radar as the watch, what's going to happen if a number of injuries continue to be reported, are they going to have to recall these as well? So we've seen a huge uptick in hernia mesh type cases. Another one is, kidney failure associated with any type of Nexium or Prilosec or any of the antacids, the NSAIDs, the antacids that people use. That's probably one of the most popular medications that's prescribed and now even over the counter. So if you suffer those type of damages, the manufacturers may be responsible. And just locally, I'd say for whatever reason, we've had a huge uptick in like prescription error type cases where folks have even been given the wrong prescription, the wrong dose, just things of that nature where, they've kind of been there. We'd see a few a year. I mean, we literally have seen dozens and dozens this year. It's been crazy. So always double check, don't just take for granted what folks are writing down on a piece of paper. I mean, ask your questions.
Yeah, and probably can do a full show on that maybe the first part of the year, because a lot of ground to cover there.
It's a lot happening.
About a minute and a half remaining, but want to give both of you just an opportunity, just a final thought to leave with our viewer. And Tyler, if you would.
I know we're here on Christmas Eve and everybody's watching it, so I mean, just simply enjoy the holidays, enjoy the time with the family, and just do everything you can to enjoy this time, man. It's precious, and it goes by way too fast.
It does.
Yeah, what I'd say is this. Know that you have got a friend if you ever have legal-related issues. If it's not within the sweet spot of what we do, David, they've got someone that cares about them at our law firm that can get you in touch with the right people. Try not in 2018 to be intimidated by lawyers. There's no reason to be intimidated by lawyers because you got folks out there that can help and lead, guide, and direct you through the process. And the last thing I'd say is this. Thank you to you for the work that you put in on the show for the many years that you've been a part of this. We don't tell you thank you enough, but
that's kind.
You
Very
do a fabulous
you guys
job.
are good.
You do a fabulous job, and we appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed doing it. Enjoy spending time with you guys, and to you and your families, Merry Christmas.
You too.
And thank you all for joining us each and every Sunday night. We love being here with you. We'll look for you next Sunday right here on The Attorneys. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thanks for watching The Attorneys, sponsored by Hollis Wright.